Another great episode. We got a lot to talk about. Hi loves, your Michaela Coel from Runaway. We have culture, conversation, and community. And in today's video, I am going to be discussing the groundbreaking show I May Destroy You, which if you haven't seen my other reviews, I'm going to link them in the description and at some point put it at the top as a card. This is episode 5. It just came up, and yes, lots to discuss. The more that I'm watching this series, the more I'm seeing like those themes, those subtle themes progress and turn bigger in our face. So just a lot. So Arabella and Zane are a thing. First thing in the episode, she is laid up with him. They're booed up. She wakes up, she puts on this t-shirt, and she's doing yoga. You can tell she is actively trying to work on herself and work on her recovery. In the process of her morning routine, she listens to a podcast, Tea and Two Chicks, which I actually thought was a real podcast. That was a really good opportunity to plug another good Black creator potentially. If it is a real podcast, it's not showing up on Apple Podcasts, so who knows, maybe it is. If it isn't, that was a really good opportunity to plug other content creators. Long story short, the episode was about like secret condom removal, and it's dawning on Arabella that this is something that Zane had done to her, obviously, and he's a predator. So sis, she didn't even gather anything, so she just got her stuff, whatever she was wearing, walked out of his apartment barefoot, got some clothes from like a secondhand store, and started her day. Which kind of shows like her impulsive nature, but then it also can kind of reflect how she's just unwilling to confront certain things, and she will kind of literally just go completely left, walk out the door barefoot, and just start her day. I was just like, okay, that's different. So the next scene is going into Arabella. She's doing the proverbial beauty salon scene, and they're like, girl, what should I do with my hair? She finally takes off this pink wig that's been terrorizing my spirit, girl. Like, that pink wig has been working on my nerve since day one. So she just decides to get a buzz cut. She has like a straight Caesar, and I think she looks better than that pink wig, child. Ooh, it was working on my nerves. But she shows up to a meeting with her publisher, and they're all kind of taken aback by her new appearance. And one of the things that I want to mention too about those subtleties that this show has a good thing of bringing up is when a Black woman change her hair, it's like, oh, your hair, which is something that one of the white publisher had said. And then she's like, oh, I like your hair. Like, you know, like our hair is always like a point of conversation, when I just feel like it really shouldn't be, especially if it's not like brought up by the person. So those are the subtleties and kind of like microaggressions that Black women deal with all the time. And I think that they do a good job at weaving it in, so much so that I almost didn't catch it because I watch it in subtitles. Because sometimes like their accent, I won't catch everything. So when she was like, your hair, like I was like, I felt that, you know what I mean? Like those, like I hear it often that I'm kind of like, I'm less sensitive to it, but that's a real thing if you don't know. And she meets Susie Henny, who is I guess like the owner of the publishing company, and she's like, oh my god, you're Black, like you're Black. It was just so cute because in real life, like we all know what it's like to work with a room full of white people and being the only person of color, to then see another person of color or another Black woman, and then for them to be the big boss, like that's a moment for real. And I know we all can, you know, relate to a situation like that, so it was cute to see. Prior to her going to the meeting, though, I forgot to mention this, she went to the police station. They have identified potentially someone who, you know, who might have been her perpetrator, and she needs to get like DNA from Biagio, and she hasn't told them, and they're like, you really haven't told them? And she's like, no. And I think that that's like another layer of pressure that she's now going to have to deal with. One, dealing with the assault, and then now having to tell someone who's a lover that it happened, a long distance lover. I mean, it's not like they're in a serious committed relationship. One of the things that I noticed though in that scene, They were like, you know, calling the women rape busters and making fun of it, making jokes. And that's just a way that people deflect how they're actually really feeling. And I can relate to that. I mean, I bust a joke quickly, especially if I'm nervous. You ever hear the quote, the idea of a nervous laugh? So they were kind of like laughing and joking. Back to the publishing meeting. The process of this meeting, Zane comes to the meeting apparently unknowingly, and or at least unknown to Arabella. And it's kind of weird. It's awkward because she then reveals that she was raped, and he's obviously surprised. Susan Henney is surprised as well, but she also encourages her to write about that pain, which I don't know if that's a business move or is that a way for to kind of help her channel through her pain and work through it. You know, we all know that writing can be very cathartic. Speaking of which, if you haven't already, make sure you join my private Facebook group, because right now we're doing a 3-day root chakra journaling challenge. Today's day 1 technically. I'm going to be posting day 2 posts, so go ahead and check that out, y'all. I'd appreciate it. Me and my friend are doing it. I decided to share. The meeting was just really off. It was just weird. It was uncomfortable, and that showed in the scene. Another thing that happened at the police station, Kwame, to kind of like Google is like dry humping somebody non-consensually raped too. You know what I mean? Which I thought, from that scene, I thought he actually penetrated him, but apparently not. We're going to get into that. But also, I just want to say quickly, ladies, like, if something happens to you that you do not want to happen, that is assault, potentially rape, okay? So even if you're in the process of having consensual sex, and then for a moment you change your mind for whatever reason and you say no, stop, and he continues, that then is a rape. Men too, y'all need to know that as well. If y'all are having consensual sex and everything started off good, and then whoever says, yeah, I'm not really feeling this anymore, you have to stop. And if you don't, that is rape. Get that. There were so many things, and it's just coming to my mind, like as I'm thinking about it and talking about it, is that when they were walking away, Arabella had to leave to the publishing meeting, but Tara makes a comment like, oh, do you know anybody in the area? Because they all know that he can be a little promiscuous and sexually fluid and hook up all the time. And he's like, oh, nah, like he laughed it off, chuckled, knowing that he was just Googling, was I raped the other day? But obviously he has a stake in social capital, and he comes off as like the cool, you know, gay friend who hooks up, and that's who he is. So instead of taking the opportunity to share that something had happened to him, he kind of just laughed it off, which deepens and helps you bury those feelings that show up in sometimes ugly ways. A lot of people do that. During the publishing meeting, Susie is trying to convince her to do the summit, although she's obviously not prepared. Again, it's like, is it business or encouragement? And Arabella mentioned her rape in a really, really cavalier way, which again, a deflecting mechanism. Arabella, in true good sis fashion, said, I want my good sis to read the story for me, you know, plugging her friend in because she wants to see her dreams come true too, which, oh, love it. Love the friendship, love the sisterhood. We want to see more of that. Love it. Then she's like painting with Zane, so casually after this awkward meeting that they just had, and he's like, why didn't you tell me? She's like, oh, I didn't want to make it weird. And then she pretty much reassured him that, no, you've been helping me through this process and everything like this, and everything's great. So I'm just like, okay, so does she feel some type of way, or she doesn't? But again, that up and down of the emotions that she might be feeling, I think that scene was just to reflect that. So during the writing summit, Kwame's actually going to the police station to report his crime, which is a weird kind of intricate juxtaposition that they kind of use to portray how everybody's kind of like, it's glow season, and then Kwame's over here secretly reporting his assault that just happened. But I also think that this is so important. If you are a public servant, whether you're in the health fields, whether you are thinking of being a police officer, an EMT, hell, a motherfucking receptionist that works with the public, when somebody is reporting a sexual crime, it is imperative that you do not judge these people. His experience, Kwame's experience, was polar opposite of Arabella's, and I think that this happens in real life. Like, are men taken as serious when they're reporting a rape, or they're reporting a crime, a sexual crime, like a woman? You know what I mean? Like the guy, he was condescending, judgmental, rude, rushing him, left the door open, people were running in and out, obviously very uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable watching it because just working in the field that I do, I know that this happens to, you know, anybody who's in an urban area or impoverished or less desirable areas. So again, like, guys, if you work in the social work fields, if you work in dealing with the public, if you have any type of dealings with people who are reporting sexual crimes, y'all, please show empathy. Please, because you just don't want to turn people off from reporting. It's hard as hell to go through a traumatic experience and then it's something else to then try to report it. I mean, it was just terrible the way that the officer treated Kwame in comparison to Arabella. One thing I did have an issue with about that scene, and y'all might chew me up in my comments, but listen, we've been down that road before. If you haven't, make sure you check out my other reviews of this show. I'm going to leave it down in the description and up top for you all. When he said, you know, where you penetrated, he's like, I don't know, my trousers were low, but I don't know if I was penetrated. Sis, you don't know if he was penetrated. It didn't seem like he was under the influence, and I'm not big to blame it because this is a fictional character, y'all. That was an oversight. Come on now, any gay man who is not a bottom, and you know he know if something went in or not. But I think because the officer made him so uncomfortable, I don't know what that was. Let me know what y'all think. He's like, I don't know, I have to check. What? Were you sore? Like, come on. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just have to give it to y'all for real. I was like, what? Goodbye. Anyways, he ended up leaving. He didn't even report it because it was such a traumatic experience, which again is going to add to his trauma of surrounding sexual assault. And probably if he is sexually assaulted again, he probably is less likely to report it this time, which is so unfortunate. Anyway, she goes into the summit, and Susie's assistant Sean is just like, yeah, I thought you had a thing for him, talking about Zane. And she's like, oh, I thought you had a thing for him. Long story short, she implies that he has some predatory ways, and it all comes to her. I guess that's why it's called It Just Came Up. So Tara at the last minute decides, oh, I can't go on stage after she did all this. I want my name in lights, and I'm an actress, and I'm this and I'm that. She backs out, and Arabella goes up and she's like, Zane is a predator, and in UK law he is a rapist. He's not rapey, he's not kind of, he's a rapist. Which I love that. I love that line. Like, there's no in between, sis. Like, you know, you're not kind of rapey, you're a rapist. I love that, y'all. Also, something about the comment made about Zane is that men tend to get away with these things and they go unreported, especially a Cambridge trained university type of man. Like, report his ass. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that that's true for men who have even more power, probably even less power than Zane. And I think that Arabella had to seize that opportunity in that moment to assert herself in that way. So no, it wasn't the best time, but in the same breath, it was the best time. I also thought it was interesting that in the flashbacks that she used to have about the violent rape in the bathroom stall, it was no longer the white man, it was herself that she was seeing. So that's like how people go through the stages of grief and trauma. They blame themselves, and you know, you can't blame yourself if you don't know. Let me know what y'all think about that, because I haven't really fully wrapped my mind around everything when it comes to that, but that's a piece that I'm leaving on the table for y'all. So pretty much the episode ends with Mr. Zane walking out, Tara capturing the moment, and she's like a gif, and she's on Twitter, she's viral, they're having a moment. Tara for some reason is rubbing me the wrong way. She's like, she's very supportive, but I don't know, it's something about her that I'm just not feeling, I don't like, because she was so hype about being viral, and not the fact that her friend just, you know, came out, like outed her peer essentially at her publishing company. Like, we don't know how that's gonna play out. It was just weird. I don't know. I'm not really feeling Tara in that, because she's like, oh girl, and then she sent it to Kwame about like how she's a gift, and he's just like, girl, I got other shit on my mind. Like, he ain't even respond, which he's being really, really overlooked in this episode. And at the end of it, she's in the bed, she's finally telling Biagio because he has to give DNA, and he's like, are you kidding me? you caused this on your own, you caused this on yourself, you left your drink and blah blah blah. And then she's like tripping, like, are you kidding me? You really gonna say that it's my fault? For some reason, his words really affect her when you know, she has, or it seems like she has, really supportive friends. And she just like hangs up on him. She's like, I don't want to talk to you again. And she lets out this cry, like, girl, you know when you about to cry for real and you like you just catch it. She like zipped it up and like, ugh, girl, I am so like that. I will not fully cry. Like, I have to give myself permission to fully cry, y'all. I just posted something about this on my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram too, y'all, at Jeray Malay. Sometimes you gotta sit in it, okay? And what I mean by that is sometimes you gotta feel all the feels. And Arabella is clearly not feeling all the feels, so she caught the cry, which great acting, which really great acting. She caught the cry and she instantly went onto social media and posted something, started posting her selfies, and then she started getting like a little love. And that is us always needing that outside validation. But what's scary about the outside validation is when you no longer have it, what do you then compensate for that? Great episode. A lot of things. I know I tucked your head off, but it was a lot. Anyways, y'all, make sure you join my private Facebook group if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe. Let YouTube know it's real. As always, I'm sending you love and light, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.